The best strategy to move forward in terms of dealing with this issue of homophobia in the African American community, I think, is a three-pronged approach. One is that you have to use African American ministers who are part of the movable middle. And that's a large group, believe it or not. And as I've said previously, that if we focused and worked with those ministers, that it would decenter those ministers who have the spotlight and spewing their vitriol. And they become the gateway in terms of working with the larger as well as the African American lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. So that's one approach. Another approach, very easy approach, is that you have to work with African American mothers, because African American mothers do not want to lose their child to homophobic bullying, to HIV/AIDS, to gang violence. And everyone knows this history about the African American church, is that black women are the backbone of the African American church. And so when those women get together and get moving, the black church changes. And when we have a high, incident of our black kids on the street because of their sexual orientation and gender expression, we have to educate those mothers and get those mothers moving to change the black church. And then the last approach really is to work with faith communities that have open and affirming churches. So this is where we get our white brothers and sisters who have churches that are open and affirming to help black ministers who are part of the movable middle to open their churches in a way that will be inviting to the black community. We need everybody in this struggle together. But the lead for this can't be the white queer community, as well as much as their intentions are well and they want to help us. But it really has to come from the grassroots and from the folks of the black community. So you mobilize black folks, to take a lead in that. Oh, it's not hard. The question is that bringing us to the table is one, and then do you want to hear what we have to say? Because it's not like we're not doling out the information and giving out good strategy and tactics. And also, we know the folks that the dominant white community needs to get in touch with. But if you don't want our information, then don't waste our time. Why do I think that there's poor outreach to the African American community, and do I think that is it about the money, where we place our money? Well, I think there are a couple of things. It makes the assumption that that as an African American community, we're not invested in this issue, and particularly black LGBTQ folks. We very much are invested, but we want to invest our money where it will do the most good. Also, if we're investing our money, my God, we need to have some say in how the strategy is implemented, as well as where the money goes. So it could certainly get black support and be financed black if, again, it spoke with the LGBT community, as well as those movable middle of ministers that are part of the movable middle. So it's at a stalemate. It sucks at this point, largely because, again, you have to have a kind of dialogue that is open about change. And you cannot come to the African American community with a sort of paternalistic or colonialistic kind of gesture, and to assume that I got the answer and I got the money and you ought to follow me. That will not work.
And it's people like this that we are truly representing the kingdom of God. Yes, sir. From all walks of life. Somebody say all walks. From all walks of life, we are representing the true kingdom of God. Yes. So we're supposed to have some power. Yes. We're supposed to have some dominion.
His sin is not only lying to the African American Christian community about his sexuality, but lying to God and desecrating the gift that God has given him as a gospel singer. Now, the tragic thing about all of this and his vitriol about homosexuality, at the end of the day, at the end of the concert, boyfriend goes home to his gay lover.
How do we know this?
Oh, please. You know, we have this thing called the Chitlin Circuit, which is far better than CNN, Fox News, or the New York Times. And if it's on the Chitlin Circuit, it's real. If he comes out, then he opens the door for many more of the other gospel singers to come out. And it would open really an honest dialogue about black sexuality. Also, we would see a diminish in the transmission of HIV and AIDS that we have in our community. Are we as African Americans more homophobic than the Mormons, than the Catholics, than the Jews, or any other fundamentalist group of folks? No. But the impact of it hurts us much more because of the centrality that the black church operates in the African American community. As I said, that because it has a multiple function, it operates as a nation within a nation, it is where we go and get information about health, about education, about politics, as well as the gospel of Jesus. So with the church having this kind of importance in the African American community, it can cause much more damage than clearly if you are of a different religious background. But no, are we more homophobic? No, but then there is a part of it that is racist. That when you want to highlight the pathology of a problem that is endemic and pervasive in this country, we have always, the media has always highlighted on African Americans. It's very similar to when we were talking about AIDS and we were blaming Haiti for the AIDS epidemic, ignoring how tourism has played a profound impact that infected that country. So the issue is that no, we're not more homophobic than any other group, but clearly the impact of it impacts us far greater because racism still operates, health disparities are what they are in this country, and the church, given the kind of power that it has, functions not as our liberator, as what we had hoped it to be during slavery, but instead it is our new enslaver. Follow the money trail. You will find a whole lot of black ministers who upheld the GOP politic, upheld Bush's agenda, and also at the same time, unfortunately, sold out the civil rights movement and had the audacity to say that gay rights was not a civil right, looking at the face of people like Donnie McClurkin and myself and others who are gay and Christian in the African American community.